it's kind of like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Hey guys, welcome back to the Educate, Empower, Evolve series. I have a new face here today. We have Emmy
everyone.
Pearson here from, is it Pearson or Person?
Person.
Person. Sorry.
First one who butchered it.
From, they live down south, and her and her husband coach for It's Next Level, correct?
Yes.
Team Next Level. So we are going to walk through a few different topics today. The first one we're going to talk about is why you may not be seeing results. So I'm going to let Emmy kind of touch on the first one because we were just chatting about this.
I have short-term memory.
About the input. So basically people's input versus output.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take this off because it's actually warm. All right. You can go ahead and chat whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I just think the very first one for me, when people like, oh, I don't get result, is I think of like progress as an addiction. If you don't know what you're doing, or if you have absolutely no awareness, or you just don't know where you're at, then it's very hard to know why you don't get the progress.
Yep.
So the very first one would be, do you track what you're doing? Are you aware of how you train, how much cardio you do, what kind of activity level you do, and especially food? Are you tracking it? So that would be the very first question that I ask somebody when they come to me and say, oh, I don't get result.
Yep, exactly. Like on my client questionnaire, for example, when I work with someone, that's like, or when I'm doing a consultation, that's the first thing I ask. Like, what activity level of cardio are you doing? How often do you train? How long are your training sessions? And like, do you know where your food intake is? And then if they don't know, I'll have them track, like not change their eating habits at all.
Yeah.
And I'll have them track that so then I can see kind of where they're starting, and then we can kind of build from there.
I like that.
Yeah. And I think that kind of takes us into another reason too, is like inconsistency in input versus output. So a lot of people will be like, oh, I've been dieting for months. Okay, but are you consistently dieting? Is it like one day you're in a calorie deficit, the next day you may have calories over where you should be, and then the next day you're back into an even lower calorie deficit, and your calories are just kind of like all over the place, but you think you're dieting. And then like one week you get 3 workouts in, the next week you get 5 workouts in, one week you do 3 hours of cardio total, the next you do 3 hours in one day. Like, it's just inconsistent because people feel like they have to work off some food they ate or things like that.
Yeah, and it's just not really have to, like, I'm not saying that everything has to be perfect to the T.
Yeah.
Every day should be the same. If you are a contest prep client, yes, you should be in a very strict routine, and everything should be repeatedly every day. But normally, it doesn't take that much effort. You don't have to be perfect to the T to get result. If you are a lifestyle client, you should have a routine. But also you shouldn't be on almost like a cycle of, okay, under eat, like, you know, like 500, 600, 700 calories for a few days because you want to diet so intense and so hard and restrict yourself, and then you just have a breakdown. So you go and eat like 4, 5, 6,000 calories and then come back to the same cycle. Or similar thing with training. Like, I would have people come to me and say, oh, I'm gonna hit the gym like 6 days per week, and I just started, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you can do it, it's great, good for you, bravo. But then at the same time, they don't manage recovery, and then it's not realistic with their schedule, so they work out for 6 days and they can't walk because they're too sore. So then they take the next 6 months off because it scared them. So make sure that when you create a routine, the calorie intake that you're gonna do, or the routine of workout, cardio, everything should be very realistic.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And like she said, like binge and restrict, I see that a lot. I know you probably do too, especially with women. Like, they'll save up, they'll eat so under their calorie goal, and then they're like saving up for an event, and then they end up just bringing their progress back even further because they binged one day or binged for a few days, and then they have to restrict, and then they binge again, and that just turns into like a vicious cycle.
And it's also like very unhealthy mentally too, because you develop a very unhealthy relationship with food. You associate some certain food with bad food or weight gain or just pain. So and this is such a good topic, and we can go on and and talk hours and hours. So of course, if you want to hear more, or if you want to ask questions specifically for you, please feel free to reach out either of us on Instagram or just contact the Body Shop. They have resources to answer that for you. But what I really want people to understand is, yes, you do have to go through somewhat of a restriction to lose weight. Restriction compared to what you're doing right now. Something has to change, right? Something has to give. But the diet that gonna give you most success gonna be the diet with the least restriction. Like with a restriction that you can handle. Does that make sense? So
because we're going for sustainability, sustainable results, not results that are going to happen for a week. You hold that for a week, and then you go back to doing what you were doing before, and you end up gaining the weight back or even more.
I know. So when we're talking about why you don't get result, we don't talk about, oh, let's lose 10 pounds in a sauna or whatever it is, like juice cleans, right? We're talking about sustainable result that you can live with, you can maintain. And that's what we're looking for as coaches. Especially, I would say, I think that we pretty like see eye to eye on our approach. We're women, we're not young, so we go through a lot of, like, we make mistakes. I never do any fat diet, so that one thing, thankfully, I never did. But I mean, we do hear that all the time. Like, she working in the industry for a very long time, so do I. With more than 10 years in the industry, so many of my clients come to me and say, oh, I try it all. I said, yeah, the thing is, what you try it all only give you the very quick fix. And when a diet, here's the tip for you. If a diet or a program taking out the food that you like or you enjoy, or taking the whole food group out, like carb or fat or protein, that'd be crazy, but or whatever, if it take out a whole group of food out, then that is a big red flag. That's not gonna be sustainable. Like, I have a woman come to me before, and she's like, you know, I gonna jump into this raw vegan diet. And I said, like, oh wow, that a big jump coming from like seafood diet, like, oh, I see it, I eat it. And my advice for her is, ultimately it's your choice, but my advice is, do not turn your world upside down. It's not gonna last. If you not even a vegan, if you don't even enjoy raw veggie, why do you jump into a raw vegan diet and think that you can maintain your result, you know?
And like, if you see something that works for someone, that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna work for you. We're all different, our bodies are different, our minds are different. My goal, and I know her goal is very similar with my clients, is to help them find a sustainable lifestyle that works for them. And with a lot of women, we over diet, we overtrain, we diet for too long, and our body just ultimately, your body's number one job is what? It's to keep you alive. So the second you start putting it in danger, it's gonna fight back against you, not work with you. So it's gonna go through, you kind of have to go through cycles of feeding it enough, gaining that trust. It's like any relationship, like in a relationship with friends, in a relationship with a significant other. What does a relationship do that's successful? What do you have? It's based on trust. So just like your body, you have to have it learn to trust you again. And how are you going to do that? With consistently giving it what it needs.
And so that's why when people come to us, sometimes it's like, oh, I want to lose weight today, and I would tell you, not everybody, not all clients will be ready for a cutting phase or a diet phase right away. And I know it's a hard thing to hear, and honestly, I have people not coming back to me after I said, okay, you're not ready to diet, we have to work on building up your metabolism first. And I know it sounds like a fancy term, and I like to use term that very relatable, but your body has been used to with eating so little, or you diet for so long, or you do like hour and hour of cardio, and your body used to with that. Now where we gonna go from there? Are we gonna keep cutting your food and basically gonna have you breathe air and leave for the next 2-3 months to lose weight? It's come right back to what we're talking about. It's not gonna be sustainable. So please know that we care about you, and when we say that you're not ready, it's nothing personal. It's nothing wrong about you. We just want the best approach for you to get a result that you can sustain.
Exactly.
You know?
And if you think about it in this way, this is kind of how I explain it to clients. Like, cardio, cutting food, movement, things like that, training, those are all tools in your toolbox. So if you go to fix a fence, if you go to fix a house, if you go to build a foundation and your toolbox is empty, you can't successfully do it. So if you're already eating super low calorie, doing loads of cardio, training 6 days a week, doing HIIT cardio, going to Orange Theory, all of this stuff at once, all your tools are out there. Like, there's nothing to pull out of your toolbox. So you're not going to be able to, quote unquote, make any progress in what you're doing. So you kind of got to pull back and put those tools back in your toolbox, so you have tools to pull from.
I like that. I really like that. Yeah, you have to almost like reinvest in yourself a little and fill yourself up. And it doesn't mean that you're gonna sacrifice, like, oh, you have to bulk. It's not about bulking. No. Like, we're not talking about that. You, like, a lot of time people actually experience a very positive response when we actually say, okay, let's lower your cardio and feed you a little bit more, but we're gonna watch everything very closely. We're not gonna make you gain weight and then, you know, get you into that mental state where you're not happy with your body. Actually, I have clients that losing weight on that, and also they start building muscle mass. So even though the weight doesn't move much at all, they just look better, healthier, like hair grow again, and that's super huge for women. I can't stress it enough. Like, I tell my clients, like, okay, because I'm a women coach, I can't watch it when my client lose hair or their skin texture start getting really rough because they're so low in fat, or like, you know, it's super important. It's not just about the look, and also hormonal health too. Let's not forget about that. When you diet for so long and you overwork your body, it actually really gonna affect your hormone balance.
Especially women.
Yes.
Like, men get affected cardiovascularly, but we get affected hormonally.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is, once you have food, you have more energy. When you have more energy, you're gonna move more. You're not gonna, because you may not even realize it, but when you're dieting low calorie, you move less, like, just naturally. You fidget less. You're not gonna get up and walk upstairs. You're gonna use the elevator more because you're just naturally so bogged down. You're living off of caffeine, things like that. Like, when you're eating the food and using it for fuel, your body's gonna have energy. You're gonna feel good in your lifts.
I feel personally attacked.
Yeah. And then, like she said, when you have more muscle mass, like, here's a reality check too. When you have more muscle mass, you can eat more because your body's gonna naturally burn that food and use it more, and it's gonna give everybody that toned look that they're going for. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to tone, I don't want to bulk. Well, reality check too, the toned is muscle, it's just less body fat, and you're not gonna get bulky. So that goes into a whole nother topic.
I know, it's just like, this topic is just so good because it opens so many doors. But like, I don't know, I think that you do the same thing, because Danielle have amazing course. I love that. I love watching her 60-day challenge. Is that right? Because it's just so I think it's very complete program, because what I like is it's not only tackle your diet, training, it also tackle a lot of other aspects that's super important and normally get ignored pretty badly, like recovery or mobility, sleep, stress management, all of that.
Just
and
like normal habits you need to build, and your mindset, and things of that nature.
Like, so just come back to the point that you just said before, on all of my coaching clients, I'm actually have them report to me a lot of detail, like, I'm sorry, both movement, sleep, how you're stressed, like, what do I need to know about your week, what is your step, because just like she said, if I diet somebody and then they coming from 8,000 steps per day and they bring it down to 2,000, now we're gonna have a talk about let's bring your activity levels up, because need is just as important or even more important than just like burning calorie in the gyms, you know?
And if you don't know what NEAT is, it's non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Yeah.
Is that all of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically the movement you do on a day-to-day basis
Like
outside your cardio
like this.
and yeah.
That's why we
And
do
your
a lot
gym.
of this, because
Yes.
we're sitting down doing nothing
Yes.
and we want to burn calories.
Yeah. We'll just talk through the video like this.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just to come so we don't get lost. This
Yeah.
topic is so good, and I
Yeah.
feel like we get lost in it. But to come back to our point, if you don't get sustainable result, we mentioned that
Yeah.
maybe you're not aware of your output.
So you're not
Input.
tracking your nutrition and activity level properly. You're over dieting, you're overtraining,
Yeah.
dieting for too long,
Yeah.
and being too restricting and binging here and there.
Yeah.
So just like that never ending cycle. So those
Yeah.
are like the top 5 reasons we see people
I
aren't
think,
making
yeah.
results.
And on a side note, I think the last thing I would say is that is why a coach coming in handy, because you normally do not have a realistic view of the progress that you're making.
Oh, yeah.
So here's this is not really, I don't think it's the result why you don't get the reason why you don't get result. But when people say, oh, I don't get result, I just said, let's compare picture. I'm super visual
yeah.
person, so that's why as a coach we require picture, because it's the scale doesn't say it all. Like, I know we all guilty of that. I weigh myself a lot and I shouldn't, but I like it.
Yep.
but then I also understand that there's so many factors that can like make weight fluctuate, like your sleep, whether you eat late the day before, your bowel movement, your digestion.
I literally just had this conversation with my challenge girls this morning.
Yeah, so like when my client, of course we track everything. I track measurement, I track weight, but I think picture doesn't lie.
They don't lie.
Oh my gosh, it's just amazing. I have, even myself, I compare the picture. If you go on my Instagram, you're gonna see over the course last year, my weight actually stay the same. Like, yeah, it go up and down, like about 5 plus and 5 minus, but right now I'm sitting at exactly the same weight as last year, and my body is so different. And I have clients having the same thing happen, especially some of you that wasn't training properly before and now have a very structured, very personalized program that prescribed by coaches like Danielle or myself, and start seeing result in the gym and eat right, like not eat less but eat right to fuel your body performance. And you will see that sometimes the weight doesn't say it all. Like,
no,
yeah,
like I would say, like, if you feel good and you are happy with what you see, and the way your clothes are fitting are another great way to judge progress.
And I like one question that I normally ask myself too is, what your definition of progress? When I say, oh, what your definition of result? What would have to happen for you to feel like you get result? When people ask me like, oh, I don't get results, what have to happen for you to feel like you get result? And I would have people, when I train at in person still a lot, there's some people say, oh, I want to make sure that I can open pasta jar by myself without my husband's help. Like things like that, or if you feel like, oh, I can fit in that jeans that I bought, or things. So there's not just about dropping 5 pounds, dropping 10 pounds. It's not just about number. It's also about whether you feel more energetic, you can do more activity. Now you can play with your kid without dragging your feet. Like for me, I just feel like when I the biggest progress that I feel is my energy is level during the day, so I can handle my 5 kids. Oh gosh,
5 kids, yeah.
All day
I have a
long
puppy and that's it.
Yeah, be present with them. So also you should have a reality check, and you should write out about like, what are the progress, what are the results beside the number on the scale that you have experienced, and that would give you a good self high five. And you should celebrate all small win, big win, different kind of progress, not just number on the scale. That's what I challenge you to do.
Yes. All right, I think that wraps up this topic. Thank you guys for joining. Like she said, if you guys have more questions, feel free to either comment down below or reach out to us. I will link both of our Instagrams below. But we have a few more topics we're going to cover, so make sure you like and subscribe, and so you don't miss a video, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye guys.